Imagine you're managing like a massive industrial operation, right?
Right.
Your maintenance budget is super tight, but if a vital machine goes down, production completely stops.
Yeah, and yet you're probably spending thousands maintaining the break room coffee maker with the exact same urgency as your main turbine.
Exactly. It's kind of like a hospital spending its entire budget putting Band-Aids on paper cuts, while totally ignoring the trauma ward.
That is a perfect analogy.
Well, welcome to our deep dive into Johan Nortje's guide on asset criticality. Today's mission for you is to really understand why deciding what to maintain is the ultimate industrial strategy.
Right, and I mean, this prioritization isn't just a nice idea. It's actually mandatory for ISO 55001 compliance.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. To hold that international standard, an organization has to prove they're making evidence-based, risk-aligned decisions with their finite maintenance budget. You have to actively reduce operational risk and waste.
So to separate those literal paper cuts from the trauma patients, Nortje outlines this really mathematical approach. The core philosophy is building a balanced risk profile.
Yes, rather than relying on a consequence-only approach, which is honestly a huge trap for leadership.
Right, because organizations will look at a piece of equipment, imagine the worst-case safety scenario, and just instantly label it critical.
Exactly. And, I mean, prioritizing safety sounds responsible, but it artificially inflates risk. If you treat every single machine like a ticking time bomb, your resources get spread so thin that you aren't protecting the truly dangerous assets.
Yeah, that makes sense. So a balanced risk profile requires combining consequence impact factoring in production, safety, repair costs, and legal risks with the actual likelihood of failure.
Which brings us to the formal 5-step assessment to build that profile. Step 1 is just defining the asset and its specific failure modes, like a pump doesn't just break.
Right, it might leak or seize up or lose pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Then for step 2, Nortje suggests scoring the consequence on a steep geometric scale from 1 to 81.
And I wanted to ask about that. Why use such a specific, steep geometric scale instead of, just a simple 1 to 10 rating?
Well, a geometric scale mathematically forces catastrophic events to dominate the minor ones. So a minor fluid leak might score a 1, but a fatality risk scores an 81.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, you simply cannot average away a catastrophic risk when the math multiplies it that aggressively. Once you have that score, step 3 is determining the likelihood of that specific failure based on actual site history.
Right, not just guessing.
Hmm.
So we have consequence and likelihood. Step 4 combines those into a risk matrix.
Yep.
And step 5 applies the worst case rule to set the final asset class.
But wait, I actually have to push back on this logic a bit.
Oh, go ahead.
Let's take a mining dump truck. If a catastrophic brake failure is rated as, say, a rare likelihood, but an engine overheating is a minor consequence that happens regularly,
Right.
wouldn't the high frequency of the overheating outscore the rare brake failure? Doesn't that ignore the worst-case scenario? You'd think so, but no. The steep math of that 1 to 81 scale prevents exactly that from happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even if an engine overheats every single week, its minor consequence score of a 3 simply cannot outmultiply the massive 81 score of a fatal brake failure, no matter how rarely the brakes fail.
Ah, okay. So the brake failure generates a critical Class A score.
Exactly. And the worst case rule then dictates that the entire truck inherits that highest single score. You never average the failure modes together. The biggest threat dictates the machine's status.
So the math really protects the reality of the risk. But once you have that Class A status, the data is useless if it just sits in a spreadsheet, right?
Oh, absolutely. It has to drive daily maintenance tactics and your spare parts inventory. You actually map those criticality scores directly into the plant's software, like the SAP PM Asset Register.
And this goes into the ABC indicator field on the functional location record, right?
Right. Think of the functional location as the permanent physical address on the plant floor where the machine lives. Tagging that address with an ABC indicator creates a permanent filter for planners.
It's basically the ultimate VIP bouncer for a plant's maintenance budget.
Perfect way to put it. If an asset holds a Class A indicator, the bouncer rolls out the red carpet. Planners immediately apply full reliability-centered maintenance.
So that means proactive stuff like mandatory condition monitoring, vibration analysis, and warehousing critical spare parts right on site.
Exactly, so you never wait for shipping. But if a machine gets stamped as a Class C or low criticality like a redundant exhaust fan, then it just receives standard OEM schedules.
Or even a run-to-failure tactic, I guess.
Yeah. You intentionally choose not to overinvest time or parts where it doesn't heavily impact safety or production. You hoard those resources for the Class A assets.
Ultimately, this whole system is just the Pareto principle in action, right?
Yeah.
20% of your assets carry 80% of the risk.
Exactly. Mastering criticality ensures your finite resources are exclusively protecting your most valuable operations.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But, if this criticality matrix becomes so perfectly tuned at mathematically predicting risk, it makes me wonder.
Wonder what?
Well, at what point do we let the enterprise software autonomously control the entire maintenance budget, completely removing human managers from the financial loop?
Oh, wow. An autonomous system just dynamically allocating funds based purely on real-time failure probabilities.
Yeah, something for you to ponder, right? Next time you look at a factory or honestly even your own garage, ask yourself which tool is your trauma patient and which is just a paper cut.